Hello R learners, how are you doing today? I'm sure you are doing fine. So the topic of today's discussion is mutate function. Mutate function in the Dplyr package is used to create a new column, create a new variable, or modify the existing variable. So you have a data frame and you want to create a new variable or you want to modify the existing variable, then you can use the mutate function. So let's start by loading the tidyverse library. Now the data set that we are going to work upon is flights data from NYC flights 13 package. So let me load the package NYC flights 13 package as well. So let's have a look at flights data using glimpse function. So you can see that it has the information related to the flights. If you are interested in knowing further on the flights data set, so you can simply use a question mark followed by the name of the data set. Then you can see the description of the entire data set. So it has a on-time data for all the flights departed from New York City airports in 2013. Okay, and then it has various other variables such as year, month, day, date of departure, arrival delays, departure delays, and some flight information as well. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm not interested in all the 19 columns. As you can see, it has 19 variables. I'm not interested in all the 19 variables. So I will be creating a small subset of the data with the columns, with only the columns that we are going to work upon. So flights modified. So I'm going to create a data set and I'm going to first pipe in flights data to select function. So I will be selecting the carrier column followed by destination, then origin, and I will be using a helper ends with, which will give me all the columns whose name is ending with delay word. Okay, so arrival delay, departure delay, something like that, and airtime, and finally distance. So these are the variables that are of particular interest to me right now, and let's view them. Let's view this data frame that we have created. So this is the flights modified data frame that we have created, and we are going to use the mutate function on this data frame to create new variables or modify the existing variables. Fine. So let's start. Create a new variable. Create a new variable, total travel time equal to airtime plus departure delay plus arrival delay. So I want to create a new variable here, total travel time, and that total travel time will have airtime, it will have departure delay and arrival delay. If there is a departure delay or arrival delay, that would get added to the airtime, which will give me the total travel time. Okay, so let me first pipe in the new data frame to mutate function. Now here we'll have to first mention the name of the new column. The name of the new column is total travel time, and how that column will be created, some logic to create that column. So here I am going to simply add all the delays to the airtime, and then finally I'm going to view it. So let's see. So here is our data frame, and as you can see, the total travel time, which is a new variable, which is a new column that we have created, is appearing at the far right. Is appearing at the far right of the data frame. Okay, fine. You can also modify the existing variable. Not necessarily you have to create the new variable, but you can also modify the existing variable of the data frame. So in this case, I will be modifying the distance column. Now the distance, the values are in miles, and we want to convert those values from miles to kilometer. So remember, 1 mile equal to 1.6 kilometer. So I will use the distance column. So the name of the column will be distance. That's what we want to modify, equal to distance multiplied by 1.6. View. So it should give me the modified distance column. So you can see that the distance column is modified from miles to kilometers. All the values are represented in kilometers. Okay. Now you can create more than one variable using mutate. So let me copy this. Let me copy this part of a code. We have already created one variable. Now here I would like to create another variable. The name of another variable will be total delay. And what will be the total delay? It will be a total travel time. Total travel time minus air time. Okay, so ideally it should be, the two values should be the same. Total travel time should be the air time. That means there is no arrival delay and there is no departure delay. That would be an ideal scenario, or if there is early departure or arrivals, that means my total travel time will be less than the air time. So in that case, I would get negative total delay. So I finished the journey earlier than planned. That's what the negative delay signifies, right? So let's check which of those journeys have completed earlier than planned. Okay, so as you can see here, observation number 11, this carrier B6, the total delay is -4. That means the entire journey is finished 4 minutes earlier than the planned time. Okay, so air time is 149, against that the total travel time it took is 145. Okay, and we have created two columns, total travel time and total delay in this case. Okay, display only the new columns. Now so far when we use mutate function, by default it shows all the columns. It shows all the columns from the existing data frame and the columns that are newly created or the columns that are modified. All the columns are shown together. But I'm not interested in looking at all the columns. I would be interested in only the columns that are newly created. So for that I will use transmute function, flights modified transmute function. Okay, transmute function, and let me copy this. Let me copy this entire piece of code. Let me execute it. So you can see that we have created two new columns and only those two new columns are getting displayed with the help of transmute function. Right, now how the mutate function will work on the groups. If you have the groups, if you have created the groups in your data frame, how the mutate function will work on those groups. So let's see, flights modified. Now here I am going to group the data with carrier variable. So group by carrier, I don't know whether it's capital or small, yeah, carrier, and then I am going to simply copy this code, and here I would like to create a third variable called mean delay. Mean delay would be mean of total delay, and we will use na.rm condition as true if in case the data set has any values. We don't know whether it has any values, but if in case the data set has any values, then the main function should work on the any values as well, right? So let's execute this. Now as you can see that the mean delay is the mean of all the observations within that particular group. So it's the mean of all the observations having UA carrier. So mutate function when used on group will consider the observations within the group for the calculation. Now if I ungroup it, if I don't use a group, let's see what happens. So let me comment out group by carrier, and let me keep the mean delay as it is, and let's see what happens if I don't use the group. Now here you go. So as you have noticed, the mean delay has the same value. All the observations in mean delay has the same value because now we have removed the grouping from the data set. The mutate function has taken the average of all the mean delay observations, and that's why you will see that the value for all the observations in mean delay column is the same. Reorder the positions of the new columns. Now we saw that when the new columns are created, the mutate function by default places all the columns to the far right of the data frame, right? That's by default. What if I want to change or reorder the position of the new columns? So there is one argument in mutate function by which you can able to change the ordering of the columns. So let's see. So let me copy this code. Let me remove this group, I don't need it. And there is one argument called before. So dot before equal to 1. Let's see what happens. So if I use dot before equal to 1, what happened? All the new columns are placed right at the start of the data frame. Total travel time, total delay, mean delay, these are the three columns we created. They have placed right at the start of the data frame. So we could able to change, we could able to reorder the columns. Similarly, you can use dot after say distance. Now I want all these three columns to place right after the column distance. Let's check. Yeah, we can see that these three columns are placed right after the column distance. Okay, hide unwanted columns. Now sometimes you don't want to see all the columns. You want to hide unwanted columns. You can do that. There is also one argument in mutate function by which you can hide the unwanted columns. So let's say I want to hide airtime variable, airtime column I want to hide. So airtime equal to null. If you set airtime equal to null, it will not be shown in the final output. As you can see, you won't find airtime column in the final output. We have hidden that column with the help of null argument. Fine, so let's summarize quickly. Mutate creates new columns that are functions of existing variables. It can also modify and delete the existing column. It can delete the existing column by setting their values to null. That's what we have seen just now. The mutate operation may yield different results on group data because the expressions are computed within groups. Take an example of mean delay time. We grouped it by carrier, and when we use mutate function, the average, the mean, is calculated for that particular group and not for the entire dataset. By default, new columns are placed on the far right. You can change the order of the columns using dot before or dot after argument. You can reorder the column using dot before and dot after argument. Fine, if you're liking this content, then you may subscribe to my YouTube channel and also hit that bell icon, like button, and also don't forget to put your suggestions in the comment section so that it will help me to improve upon my delivery and the content. I will see you soon. Take care.